Right now, Joburg Mayor Mpho Phalatse's future as the city's leading resident hangs in the balance. Despite her reinstatement last week, opposition parties still want her gone. Another motion was actually looming for Thursday, but of course the DA wanted to take the matter to court and now have withdrawn because the Speaker of Council, Colleen Makubele, has actually withdrawn the motion of no confidence for Thursday, saying it's inadmissible for now. Let's speak to legal expert Ulrich Roux about this particular issue. Mr. Roux, thank you very much for your time. Of course, we do know that the possibility of a motion eventually being put on the agenda in the council is still quite a large one, even though it's been cancelled for Thursday. So if the DA does take this to court to try and stop the motion from even being part of the agenda, do they have a leg to stand on?
Yes, well, it's evident that the ANC will stop at nothing to try and remove the Phalatse as the mayor of Johannesburg, and obviously to get their own ANC mayor into position to govern the city. So they have attempted to do that through a motion of no confidence, and they removed Phalatse as the mayor. But the court ruled in an urgent application brought by the DA that they had not followed proper procedure, and she was accordingly reinstated as the mayor once again. And yet again, the ANC have attempted to do that now with a special meeting that had been scheduled for 3 November. And the DA quite correctly brought in, sent a letter of demand and said, you either cancel this meeting or we will approach the High Court again on an urgent basis to obtain an interdict to prevent the meeting from taking place. So the DA has been successful twice now in exposing the ANC's ulterior motives to have Phalatse removed as the mayor. But I don't think that they should rest on their laurels. I think that the ANC is clear, that they will make any attempt possible to try and have her removed as the mayor, but they've got rules and regulations that they need to adhere to, and they know of the fact that the DA will approach the court for assistance should they not comply with those rules and regulations, as is the correct procedure.
Our understanding is that the DA won on a matter of principle, of course. They won the court case on a matter of technicality, finding that council didn't follow due process to actually even have that meeting and that sitting take place. So if the ANC and its partners right now decide to, they're obviously sitting somewhere planning properly, and they decide to bring the motion in the correct processes and the correct avenues, would the DA still have a leg to stand on to take the matter to court? Because, I mean, if the House agrees that a motion is added on the agenda, then why would you go to court? Isn't it something that's inevitable?
Well, the court ruled in the first urgent application that the ANC had not complied with the required notice periods in calling the motion of no confidence. They called the motion of no confidence and they scheduled that meeting, and they only gave 16 hours notice of the motion of confidence, which obviously did not comply with the rules and regulations in terms and that are applicable in order to call such a motion. But one can expect them to now sit down and possibly obtain proper legal advice, as they should have from the outset, and then call a proper notice of no confidence, a motion of no confidence, and then it's left up to the members to vote. Yet again, the meeting scheduled, as I pointed out earlier, for 3 November, once again did not comply, and had it proceeded, whatever findings were made at that meeting would also have been set aside should the DA have approached the High Court for relief. But one needs, one can expect the ANC to just sit down, relax, obtain proper advice, and then follow proper procedure. And then if a proper vote is taken and she is correctly voted out as the mayor, then any application to the High Court by the DA afterwards would most likely not be successful. So again, the only advice for the ANC to adhere to their own rules and regulations in bringing such a motion of no confidence.
I mean, and I'm looking, Ulrich, at what you're saying in terms of the fact that they were given only 16 hours notice, and the ANC very adamant last week that Thursday would be the day that they get what they want, which is Mpho Phalatse out. But for the fact that the Speaker, who's clearly on the ANC side for the moment, as a COPE member, the fact that she's withdrawn this motion and says that it's inadmissible is an indictment on the ANC, isn't it? But also, as you answer that, it looks like the DA feels as though they have no leg to stand on in fighting against the suspension or the motion against Tanya Campbell in Ekurhuleni. They don't seem to be saying anything about fighting that part.
Yes, I think that the Speaker most likely obtained proper advice, and she was correctly advised to rather cancel the meeting for the 3rd of November. And then, as I said previously, to sit down properly and comply with the rules and regulations of the House in bringing such a motion. These are obviously very politically charged meetings, and there's obviously, ulterior motives, as there always is in politics.
Yeah.
But, the rule of law must suffice at the end of the day, and the House cannot simply, call meetings and make decisions and take votes if they haven't acted in an objective manner. And that is the problem, why the DA is criticizing the Speaker currently, is that as you said, it's clear that she's not acting in an objective manner. She has the best interests of the ANC at heart, and that is what the ANC is claiming. And accordingly, she should be removed as the Speaker of the House. But one would have to wait and see if the DA follows through with that threat of an application at that.
All right. Well, it's quite interesting to see that the DA seemingly has given up on the Ekurhuleni leg of their mayorship being cancelled there. I wonder if they're probably getting some legal advice on whether or not they can fight that, because it looks like in that council meeting, everything legally was followed. But I can imagine, Ulrich, how it is to be a lawyer that represents politicians and have to uphold the law. It must be quite an interesting debate every time you meet with politicians that you represent. Thank you so much for speaking to us here on eNCA. That is Ulrich Roux. He's a legal expert.